You're listening to the Everything Jewish 10 Minutes at a Time podcast, where you'll learn about every Jewish topic imaginable in about 10 minutes. Today's topic is Asenath Barzani. Before we start, a quick apology for my Hebrew pronunciation, because the history is real, the sources are legit, but the voice is an AI, like a robot confidently chanting from the Torah scroll upside down. Asenath Barzani is one of those historical figures who makes you stop and say, wait, why don't more people know about her? She lived in the 17th century in Kurdistan, which already sounds like a place nobody expects to find a famous Jewish woman scholar. Yet there she was, running a yeshiva, teaching advanced texts, writing poetry, and leading a community in a world that mostly assumed women should stay quiet and invisible. Think of her as the original unexpected plot twist in Jewish history. You think you know the setting, the rules, the limitations, and then suddenly Asenath shows up and calmly rewrites the script with confidence, learning, and authority that nobody could ignore. Asenath Barzani was born into a scholarly family. Her father was a respected rabbi, and instead of saying learning is not for girls, he taught her everything he taught his sons. That decision alone changed history. She mastered Jewish law, Bible, and mysticism, not as a hobby, but as a serious scholar. She later married a rabbi, and when he died young, something remarkable happened. Instead of stepping aside, Asenath stepped forward. She took over leadership of the yeshiva and became the primary teacher and authority. This was not symbolic leadership. She actually taught, ruled, and guided students. Imagine a medieval academic department where everyone expects the program to collapse, and instead the professor's spouse quietly takes over and runs it better than before. That was Asenath Barzani. Her authority came from knowledge, not rebellion. People listened because she knew her material deeply and taught it with clarity and strength. What makes Asenath Barzani especially fascinating is that she never framed herself as revolutionary. She did not write manifestos or challenge tradition directly. She worked entirely within it. She taught Torah because she knew Torah. She led because the community needed leadership. Her legitimacy came from competence. That made her almost impossible to dismiss. She did not argue for women's education in theory. She embodied it in practice. That approach feels surprisingly modern. Sometimes the most effective change does not come from slogans, but from showing up and doing the work exceptionally well. Asenath's life demonstrates that expertise creates authority. When people see results, arguments fade. She became known as a respected teacher and spiritual leader, not because she demanded recognition, but because her students and community depended on her insight, judgment, and stability during uncertain times. Asenath Barzani also wrote poetry, which gives us rare access to her inner world. Her poems reflect humility, devotion, struggle, and longing. She describes herself as modest and unworthy, even while clearly aware of her learning and responsibility. That tension feels very human. She was confident enough to lead, yet humble enough to question herself. Her writing reveals emotional depth alongside intellectual rigor. This combination is powerful. It reminds us that scholars are not machines. They are people balancing doubt, faith, responsibility, and exhaustion. Asenath's poetry adds texture to her legacy. It shows us not just what she did, but how she felt doing it. That emotional honesty makes her relatable across centuries. It is easy to admire achievements. It is harder and more meaningful to connect with vulnerability. Asenath offers both, making her story feel alive rather than distant or abstract. Culturally, Asenath Barzani challenges assumptions about Jewish women in the past. Too often, history simplifies women into silent figures. Asenath disrupts that narrative completely. She shows that women could and did occupy intellectual leadership roles when circumstances allowed, and communities accepted competence over convention. Her story reminds us that historical silence often reflects record-keeping choices, not reality. When voices survive, they reveal complexity. Asenath's leadership was not a fluke. It was the result of education, preparation, and opportunity intersecting. That intersection still matters today. Her example encourages communities to ask not whether someone fits expectations, but whether they are capable. That shift in perspective can unlock talent that would otherwise remain unseen, just as it did centuries ago in Kurdistan.
From unsolved mysteries to unexplained phenomena, From comedy gold to relationship fails, Amazon Music's got the most ad-free top podcasts, included with Prime. Because the only thing that should interrupt your listening is, well, nothing. Download the Amazon Music app today.
Big news! Wayfair's tax refund sale is on now. Right now through March 2nd, you can score up to 70% off furniture, decor, appliances, rugs, and more. With fast and easy shipping straight to your door. Plus, amazing flash deals. Shop Wayfair's tax refund sale now to make the most of your refund with huge savings through March 2nd at wayfair.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Asenath Barzani also highlights the importance of mentorship. Her father's willingness to teach her fully changed everything. Without that foundation, her later leadership would not have been possible. This underscores how access to education shapes history. Talent needs cultivation. Asenath's story is not only about her brilliance, but about someone believing in her potential early on. That lesson resonates strongly today. Who we teach, encourage, and invest in determines who leads next. Her life illustrates that inclusion begins long before leadership positions open. It begins with learning, trust, and expectation. When communities invest broadly in education, unexpected leaders emerge, strengthening everyone involved. Religiously, Asenath Barzani represents continuity rather than rupture. She did not invent new practices. She preserved tradition through teaching and interpretation. That preservation was itself an act of courage. Leading a yeshiva required authority, patience, and resilience. She carried responsibility not just for texts, but for people. Her students depended on her clarity. Her community depended on her judgment. She met those needs quietly and effectively. That kind of leadership rarely makes headlines, but it sustains institutions. Asenath's legacy reminds us that spiritual life is often maintained by steady, dedicated individuals whose names survive only if someone bothers to remember them. Remembering her is an act of historical honesty. Asenath Barzani's story also invites reflection on how communities define leadership. She was not chosen because she fit a mold. She was chosen because she was there, prepared, and capable. That pragmatic decision benefited everyone. Her success did not weaken tradition. It strengthened it. That is an important takeaway. Inclusion based on ability does not dilute values. It reinforces them. Her leadership ensured continuity during vulnerable moments. That practical impact mattered more than abstract debates. She became indispensable not by challenging norms loudly, but by fulfilling needs responsibly. That approach often creates the most durable change. Today, Asenath Barzani stands as a reminder that Jewish history includes remarkable women whose influence shaped learning and leadership. Her life encourages curiosity, humility, and openness to unexpected role models. She shows that wisdom appears wherever learning is nurtured and responsibility is accepted. Her story does not belong only to the past. It speaks to present conversations about education, leadership, and opportunity. By remembering her, we expand our understanding of what has always been possible within Jewish life. As we wrap up, Asenath Barzani reminds us that Jewish tradition has always been richer and more diverse than stereotypes suggest. Thank you for listening to Everything Jewish, 10 minutes at a time. If you enjoyed this episode, please forward it to a friend who might like it or leave a positive review so others can find the podcast. And if you are listening on YouTube, be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform to get new episodes delivered early and for special bonus episodes.